Yo, as you see in the building, we back. We back, y'all. Let me know if y'all can hear me, man. Let me see if y'all can hear me. Yeah, we good. We good. All right, man. Let's cue the intro. As you see in the building, you know how we do. Another Scholastic presentation. Because our enemies hate it when I bring out powerful information. So we're going to keep doing it. And we're going to keep doing it to feed the flock as well. So they can have source material to make strong arguments to back up our claims and present our parsimonious explanations on the collegiate or higher levels, right? So let's show LV some love, man. He's going to open up the show for us today.
Follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Europa Report TV. Special shout out to everybody that makes a community what it is. But we gonna prove, no matter what we believe, we can still get into that motherfucking sauce, nigga. Talk to me nice. This one a different vibe. This one a different high. I got a different love. Yes, I serve a different eye. I am Judah the home turf, bitch. I'm from a different tribe. Different kind of we gotta go get it. We cross the line. Man, I'm back on my premise. Life was really looking grimace. Chopped it up with the bros. I know what I know, but still, and shout out the widgets. Y'all niggas kittens. You gotta be kidding, my nigga. I do know the difference. I had a diamond stuck in a hard place, but every stone don't listen. Shout out to me shit. Oh, you smell the secretion. Give a word like a season. You gotta repeat it, cause they wanna delete it. Who spoke that's wanna feed it? Talk to my nigga Drake Case. He gon' tell you about faith. Or maybe I'm an XPJ. I know he know about grace. There's a so sneak to the bank, no kidding, popping. I want cheese on my cake. Some niggas be lying in jams. I'm tired of friends. You can see that on my face. And yo, Rory, go tell all the people I'm here. And they'll never replace this neo love that I got in my heart. And they know they can't take it away. This one a different vibe. This one a different high. I got a different love. I serve a different eye. You had a home serve, bitch. I'm from a different tribe. If it's kind of we gotta go get it. But we cross a different line. This one a different vibe. This one a different high. I got a different love. I serve a different eye. I serve a different you to the home turf, bitch. I'm from a different tribe. If it's problem, then we gotta go get it. But we cross a different line. This one a different vibe. This one a different vibe. This one a different high. This one a different high. I got a different love. I got a different love. I serve a different eye. You to the home turf, bitch. I'm from a different tribe. If it's problem, then we gotta go get it. But we cross a different line. Man, I'm back on my premise. Andrew, shout outs to Kim and I'm rocking with Gabby. Put it to rest some falsehoods. I'm learning my nigga. I feel like Tahiti. Soft soul graffiti. I read it and said it if needy. I broke bread and gave half to the wife. Damon McClain said never be greedy. No pretending little nigga. No pretending little nigga. These words are truth. What I mention little nigga. You gon' get a little nigga. Yo, John Hawkins is your broken nigga. You agree with the con. It's nothing new when this lawyer the grant might break bread when I sit with the wrong. Great aim when that tell me it's black. My main fact is go get a Quran. It's Rob trying to be on my papa. Tell John Burr, take a shit in his lawn. Rubber Report TV, my main mission. Everybody getting along. I pay hard when I get a receipt. All y'all better open your strongs.
LV killed that, man. LV killed that, man. He killed that. Uh-oh. My StreamYard in. I ain't trying to play that. Facebook taking over the StreamYard. That was just an introduction, man. We show that brother love over here. Gonna start playing more music over here. So if brothers got any music. Worldly, I mean, I'm not over religious, so I love the track. The track was awesome. LV gets the love and respect over here at the source that he deserves for the material that he brings out. He's a very well talented brother A very skilled brother. He makes good music, and he messes with the source, man. So shit, we're gonna show love. We're gonna give love to where, to brothers who show love to us, man. It's going to be reciprocated here at the source. Understand that. I know what you guys came to, but I want to build up to it. Give y'all some music, some lyrics, some bars before we get into the meat and potatoes of this. Now, back in 2016, I did a lesson, or did a presentation rather, on the Black Jews, and I called it Black Jews 2016. If you guys have been a subscriber to the channel that long, that you know what I'm talking about. But now I was like, okay, it's time for an updated rendition, because you got a lot of people playing with the information. They haven't read the books, haven't took the time out to study it, because they don't have an interest in it. A lot of these people are dilettantes. They don't have the knowledge nor the commitment to even make any of the statements or claims that they're making against the notion that Negroes are Jews. I know you hate it. I know you're upset. It makes your stomach turn, because you've been taught that you're a pseudonym, and that's all you'll ever be. And that pseudonym is just African, and you're just happy with just that term. And I debate anybody on, are all Africans the same, by the way, because you're pretty much saying that when you make those claims. So we're going to get into it. We're going to go right to the presentation and disseminate this information the right way, and read it from the source material and build our parsimonious models like we always do here at the source. Scholastic Bully in the building, you know what I'm saying? SUC. We source up, shut up over here, man. And a lot of y'all need to shut up, because y'all ain't bringing no source material. Being an extreme skeptic is not scholarly. You understand? You have to demonstrate your points and demonstrate your arguments, not just throwing out a bunch of claims and hoping one sticks. Anyway, we're working over here, so we're gonna get this presentation out there on the airwaves. So you brothers and sisters, man, get your pens and pads. Be very observant, circumspect on what's coming out today. We're gonna get it. Cheer. So let me share my screen and get this started. Y'all know how we get down, man. You know, we get down. We got the whole internet rocking, man. We got the whole community. You know, it's brothers. You will be surprised. It's a whole group of brothers attacking my presentations, because they hate how powerful the information is. You're only going to make it more powerful with your hate and your vitriol. You can't change truth. No matter how many times you hit the truth, it's going to stand. So, as you can see on the screen, let me get into the reading mode. Reading view. There we go. All right. Black Jewry. Examples of black complexion Jews. Because a lot of the naysayers, the gainsayers, the scoffers, the Jews wasn't black. And there were no black Jews. Now, disclaimer, no one's saying all Jews in history were black. I made a video. Check it out. Phenotypes does not matter. Here on the source. You can go check that video out. We have a phenotypic range, phenotypic plasticity, meaning our people can look like Nicolas Cage. Some of our people can look like Nicolas Cage. Some of our people can look like Wesley Snipes. That's a phenotypic range that we have because of our genetic diversity in our genes, right? So no one's saying there wasn't any white Jews at all, but you guys are definitely saying there are no black Jews. And today we're going to prove without a shadow of doubt there were black Jews, and the annals of history back that up. So let's get into it. Jews known as Negroes of Europe. The Source, Literature and Science by Monica Smits-Emons, page number 149. I have this book right in front of me. I own these books, unlike my opponents. They don't own these books. They go online looking for excerpts and looking for quotes online, while I purchase the actual book, read the chapters, read the actual information, and then I will transmit it into the slide and then make my argument from there. And this is what kills them. Because all I have to do is stick to the source material. So in this book, it says, ethnological and popular literature repeatedly referred to Jews as Negroes of Europe. Okay, I read it verbatim. There's nothing you can do with that. That's what our claim has been for all these years, that you had Jews that were Negroes, right? It says, it gives you descriptors, the way they were described right here. As swarthy, now people play with that word swarthy. Oh, swarthy just means, white, but not that white. No. Swarthy means black. Like, you ever seen Swarthy Pete? Swarthy Pete is a Negro or a Moor. That's how it was used during those times. We're not talking about modern renditions or modern connotations. We're talking about during the time. A lot of you guys be dealing with anachronisms. But anyway, swarthy is one of the descriptions. African is one of the descriptions. Mulatto is one of the descriptions. Jewish Negroid is one of the descriptions. And as members of the mongrel dark-skinned race. Take it up with the source. I'm reading it directly from the source. You cannot get around this. This is why you don't want to debate me. You know what I'm talking about, Garfield and the Dagger frauds. I got all of them in a frenzy right now. You should see what these guys are saying. Oh, you don't know how hard it is to find Yashub sources. Yeah, pay for them. Purchase them. Yeah, buy them like I did, like someone that's actually committed to the knowledge and understanding of this and that really wants to get down to the bottom of it. I purchased it and read it because I am committed. You guys are dilettantes. You have no commitment. You have no knowledge of this. Keep going. Irrefutable data on the classification of Jews. The source, the Sephardic Atlantic, Colonial Histories and Post-Colonial Perspectives by Sina R. and Jonathan Scorch, page 168. As Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued, early modern Jews were not automatically white, but they were easily counted among black people. This is what's being written about Jonathan Scorch. His perspective that the Jews were not automatically white, but they were easily counted among black people. You can't twist that, can't get around it. What happens is you brothers that come against this are showing that you are the real pseudo. You are the real pseudo. You try to alter the source. You try to meander your way of meander around the source, circumvent the source, and try to apply esoteric meanings to the source. That is pseudo. You understand? That is pseudo. That's really like some eisegesis stuff, man. It says what it says. You cannot get around that. Let me read it again. As Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued, early modern Jews were not automatically white, but they were easily counted among black people. No way around that. Let's keep going. The notion of Jews being black is not new. Misspelled that new. It's not new. N-E-W. Source, Literature and Science by Monica Smits-Emons, page number 149. As Sander Gilman and others have argued, late 19th century colonial and anti-Semitic rhetoric insisted that the Jews were black. Now, reinterpret that, somebody, for me. We're reading exactly what it says from the source material verbatim. Someone reinterpret this. This means the Jews, there's an argument for the Jews being black. There's no way around it. You naysayers, you scoffers, you gainsayers can continue to make your videos. The truth would always stand. No matter how many times you try to hit it, it would always stand. The Jews of Portugal are very dark. The source, The Natural History of Man by James C. Pritchard, page number 138. I was first introduced to this source through J.A. Rogers. J.A. Rogers quoted this man. When I read J.A. Rogers' Nature Knows No Color Line, and reading Nature Knows No Color Line just was an eye-opener, and it led me to buy so many more books. I bought This book right here that I have right in my hand, Russia and the Negro by Blakely. Alan Blakely, I believe his name. Allison Blakely. Blacks in Russia, History and Thought. It just opened up my my scope on the information, and it gave me insight on so many more things. And I was able to even look into Golden Hunger's work, and even this work here. And I found it very intriguing that this was brought out. The Jews of Portugal are very dark. Now, this explains the phenotypic range of the Jews. You understand? Let's keep going. Black and white complexion Jews existed in 1130 CE. I mentioned this in my other source, in my other presentation, were the Jews, or were the Israelites or Hebrews, rather, victims of the slave trade. I brought this out already. Pope Anacletus says dark and pale, more like a Jew or an Arab than a Christian, because they were used to seeing dark and pale Jews. Is what I get from this information. If you get something else from it, reinterpret it then for me. Reinterpret this. And the source is Assimilation and Racial Anti-Semitism, the Iberians and German Models, Leo Baeck Memorial, 26, page number 6 through 7. The leader of the synagogue, a black Jew, John Greenhay, visited the Jews' synagogue in London and wrote a friend about it in 1662, describing the chief ruler, probably president of the Parnassium, as a very rich merchant, a big, black, fierce, and very stern man. And the source is The Jews and Blacks in the Early Modern World by Jonathan Scorch, page number 180. And he's obviously quoting someone who lived during that time that made this observation, which will be the primary. These are not his words. You understand? And this took place in 1662. Jonathan Scorch is now living now in the common era that we live in, right? But the point of this is the chief ruler was described as being big, black, and fierce. There's no way around that. You guys can try to play in interpolation games all day and try to insert your meaning into it. But it says what it says. The Jewish look akin to Negroes in the coast of Guyana. Interesting. It says as late as 1753, during the debate in England over that year's Jewish Naturalization Act, one polemist suggested that anyone who wanted to look Jewish should rub herself with walnut husk to fix such an undeniable hue and make your complete olive beauties with a lively complexion like that of a Negro from the coast of Guyana or Guinea. Sorry, I've been butchering that forever. Guinea. From the coast of Guinea, right? So Negroes, we already know what that phenotypic range is like. And they're saying if you want to look like a Jew, you have to rub yourself with these walnut husks until you look like a new Negro from the coast of Guinea or the coast of Africa. Come on, man. What are you going to do with that? You just got to accept that. This was stated 1753. The source is Jews and Blacks in the Early Modern World by Jonathan Scorch, page number 181. Dark descendants of Jews. In the case of the Portuguese Empire, one cannot ignore the importance of the deportation of the Sephardic population to Cape Verde or to Guinea in the first years of the 16th century. These Portuguese speakers became Luso-Africans and formed families of darker and darker skin. Let me read that again. These Portuguese speakers, who are these Luso-Africans? The deportees are the Sephardic population. It says it right there in the source. In the case of the Portuguese Empire, one cannot ignore the importance of the deportation of the Sephardic population to Cape Verde or to Guinea in the first years of the 16th century. These Portuguese speakers became Luso-Africans and formed families of darker and darker skin without ever losing their Jewish shame. So again, there's no way around that. These were black Jews. You cannot meander your way around that. You cannot circumvent that. You just have to deal with it. The truth will stand no matter how you hit it, when you hit it, how hard you hit it. It's still going to stand. The Source is a companion to Global Historical Thought by Wiley Blackwell, page number 217 to 218. This is why I'm not worried about any opponent on this, because if y'all want to debate this, you're going to get washed. You're going to get washed. You're going to spend your time pontificating. I'm going to spend my time demonstrating. Let's go. Euro-African Jews were legally recognized due to IBD. If you don't know what IBD, the IBD method is identification by descent. So that's how we're defining who these people are, by who they descend from. It's a scientific methodology, right? And the Source is the Princeton Companion to Atlantic History by Joseph C. Miller, page number 302 and 303. But by the early 17th century, on the Senegambian coast in West Africa and in Suriname during the latter half of the 18th century, a sizable Jewish Euro-African subgroup arose. In the latter case, perhaps 10% of the population confessing Jews legally recognized as such by the colonial government and by Jewish communal leaders. These Jewish Euro-Africans illustrate that African spiritual traditions, Christianity and Islam, were not the only possibilities available to Africans and their free or enslaved descendants. Let me read that again, because I know some of y'all that is watching this, you're starting to boil inside. Your blood is starting to boil. That hemoglobin is having a hard time carrying that oxygen to the lungs right now. You are being frustrated by this because, again, let me read it again. These Jewish Euro-Africans illustrate that African spiritual traditions, you always talk about African spiritual traditions, Christianity and Islam, were not the only possibilities available to Africans and their free or enslaved descendants. Y'all chew on that for a while. Direct descendants of dark Sephardic Jews enslaved initially, and we're going to revisit this at the end of this, by the way. Initially, the Luso-African descendants of Lancados and local Africans. Lancados are the castaways, are the ones that were getting deported from Portugal, which would include and encompass the Sephardic population. We read that earlier. We had the source material to back it up. It says, then augmented after the mid-17th century by Anglo and Franco-Africans and some own African slaves. Because a lot of people are like, oh, these Jews own slaves. Yeah, because that was a commodity during that time. That was the business. And also it says, yet some were slaves of Africans. So some were slaves. Some of them did get caught up in the slave trade. And that's why when Rob Bourne wanted to debate that, I knew that I had it in the bag because I already understood this information. I had this information already. I knew that I could just build this argument and show, yes, in fact, emphatically, we can show that Jews were victims of the slave trade. I can show that. And the source is Naomi, The History of Western Mandinka State through the 18th Century by Donald R. Wright, page number 148. Majority of the Portuguese on the coast of Guyana were Jews. Majority of the Portuguese people on the coast of Guinea are the Nakayo. And Nakayo means of the nation, right? And God grant that they are not pure Jews. Why? Because what we read earlier. They got casted out, deported, so on and so forth. And you know what they wanted to do to them. They want to force everybody to become Catholic. All right, but let's read on. That's for another lesson. It says, and they live with the greatest of ease, and one knows the ill will they have for the Jesuits and what they are able to do here in Portugal and there in Guinea. And the source is The Forgotten Diaspora, Jewish Communities in West Africa and the Making of the Atlantic World by Peter Mark and Jose da Silva Horta, page number 90 and 91. I actually own this book as well. What drew me to this book is I was having a discussion with Rob Bourne maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and we came across this book. And he said, what about this book? What about this book? Have you looked at this book? And I bought it, went into it, and I was like, man, this is a great book. It's got a lot of source material in it. There's a lot of times y'all think y'all going to books like, oh, this book gonna kill you. Then we read it, it's like, man, this book, this is what I expect to see. This helps our argument. So this comes from that book as well. Let's keep going. His account is attested by Nahum Sluch, and the account of Uncle Billy. Nahum Sluch pretty much verified in his travels in North Africa that there were a tribe of Rechabites, Jews known as the Rechabites, in Africa. So it says, Uncle Billy related how his father frequently told of their descent from the tribe of the Rechabites that had settled in Africa, identifying himself as a Rechabite. So you can't go to an external source and say, well, this external source said X, Y, Z about him. But the man himself said he came from this tribe. He's the primary because he is the person in question. Now, you can exist in this realm of speculation. You guys love living in the realm of speculation. But if we just go off the source material, this man descends from a Rechabite. This man descends from the Jews. And Nahum Sluch basically verified that Rechabites were real people living in Africa. You can't get around that. Source, Billy Simmons, The Black Jew of Charleston by Raph Melnick, page number 6. Early accounts of authentic Black Jews of early America. One Black slave, we just read about him, known as Old Billy Simmons, claimed and probably to be a Jew from Madagascar, and apparently had knowledge of Hebrew and Arabic. A dark-skinned Jew, a mulatto Jew, was seen on the journey between Boston and New Hampshire in 1668. So you can't get around that. And that's the Black Jews in Africa and the Americas by Tudor Parfit, page number 68, 69, a book that I've thoroughly read. Good book. A lot of people think that's another thing. Our enemies think, oh, that book is against y'all. No, go back and read it. Go back and actually read what's being stated in there, especially you guys going against Equiano. I don't know how you go against Equiano and read this book. You guys are crazy. The all-Black congregation of the Amsterdam Synagogue. The Reverend Robert Kirk of Iberfoyle visited the same Church Alley synagogue, ending his depiction of the worship with almost identical ethnographic, that should say precision, it says punctuation, precision. They were all, ethnographic punctuation, yeah. They were all very Black men and distinct in their reasonings as gypsies. This states that the Jews that you dated that synagogue were all very dark Black men. All Black men. Let's see someone reinterpret this. How do you get around that? You guys are pseudo. You guys exist in the realm of make-belief, the realm of speculation. You guys will see some information you don't like, and you special plead and make something up on the fly. Ad hoc, post hoc arguments. It's not going to change the empirical reality that we are all looking at, that the audience is looking at. They were all very Black men. They were all very Black men. That's what the source is saying. No way around it. And you can get that quote from The Jews and Blacks in the Early Modern World by Jonathan Scorch, page number 180. Witness to the colored Jews of Jamaica. In Jamaica, there was a very large degree of intermarriage of the Spanish and Portuguese Jews with Negroes. And today, there is said to be there a very large colored population bearing Jewish names, but nearly all of whom have, however, lapsed from Judaism. So these would be descendants of Portuguese and Spanish Jews. We just read it, right? Intermixing with Negroes, right? And we read about these Spanish and Portuguese Jews earlier, that they were very dark themselves. And as a result, today, or in the time of Maurice Fitchburg, and even today, we're going to read today too. The next slide is that. You know, I like to do that 1-2 combo. When I do my presentations, 1-2 punch. That's how my presentations are lined out. I hit y'all with that combo, man. That down, back, forward, up, back, down, forward. You guys used to play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat back in the day. That down, back, forward, up, back, down, forward, whatever system you had, man. I hit you with that long combo, and I hit you with that ultra. for all my Killer Instinct fans, you know, from back in the day, back in the gap when we had the Super Nintendo. Hit you with that ultra real quick. But the point of this is they can prove it from a genealogical standpoint because they carry those names. They carry the pedigree of these Jews. And Maurice Fishberg noticed that during his lifetime. 500,000 Jamaicans can prove Sephardic pedigree. It says over time, the Jews of Jamaica, and not just Jamaica, intermarried and had children, many of whom were black, and few of whom were raised as Jews. They procreated their way right out of the narrative of the exile, begat unto the old Jewish names, including Cohen, became common surnames. About 424,000 modern Jamaicans are said to descend from that old Sephardic community, because those are the number of Jews, which is a considerable number that can trace it from a pedigree standpoint. They can see those names going back to those Sephardic Jews. So the same thing that Maurice Fishberg witnessed in the early 1900s is the same thing we witness today. And the source is the talentmag.com, The Black Coins by Rich Cohen. Eyewitness of the descendants of the Jews. Many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw descendants of these Jews and says they were Negroid. The source is Nature Knows No Color Line, Research into the Negro Ancestry and the Right Race, J. Rogers, pages 129 to 130. Again, clear cut, vivid, right? Now, I just wanted to go into some DNA also. You know how I do. I want to throw some DNA in there. A lot of modern Jews have E markers. It's no secret. EM35, EV22, EBY 7503, so on and so forth. You can see their names, kit number to the left, and all that good stuff, right? So these people, you can see who they descend from or who's their ancestor, right? 1860, 740, because they'll enter that information in and say, well, I descend from Shishmael Cantor, as you see at the top, born about 1740. And they'll say, well, he had to have EM35 because the Y chromosomes passed down through the male lineage, right? So you got E markers amongst the Ashkenazi and the data from family tree DNA. A lot of time, family tree DNA allows you to create groups, and the Jews create the so-called Ashkenazi Jews create groups, and they get their DNA and they compare and contrast. Jewish E markers from Iberia, same thing, EM35 being almost the most predominant, EM81, so on and so forth. E1B1A clades, right? Watch this. Modern Iberian Jews with EM2. That's E1B1A. You have Jews with E1B1A. You see Simon Cruz, born 1745. So I find that interesting that you still see the remnant. And these people are most likely white males having this EM2, E1B1A DNA. That's why I tell you, can't judge people solely on phenotype. You understand? My argument for the black Jews is a historical accuracy one, because a lot of these people deny or act as if they don't see the information that these Jews were Negro. A lot of these Jews were Negro, and we can find it recorded in the annals of history. Does that mean there didn't exist any white Jews? I've said this in my prior videos. No, there were white Jews because of phenotypic plasticity, and other Jews were converting and so on and so forth. And that's just the facts. Al-Idrisi account of Jews in Ouagadougou. We know that since the Middle Ages, Arabic writers such as Al-Idrisi have spoken of Jews living south of the Kingdom of Ghana. So you do have Jews in below the Sahel or sub-Saharan Africa. This is evidence for it. Al-Idrisi. And somebody stated, "Oh, can they show any source saying there's Jews there before European contact?" Yeah, Al-Idrisi. I mean, the Arabians were writing about it. You understand? I mean, and then if you want to go all the way back, we can go to the 1st century or the 4th century, but he's speaking of what happened during the 1st century, and that's St. Jerome Eusebius. He said that the Jews were prosperous all the way from East India all the way to the western tip of Africa. And he's speaking of the 1st century, and he lived during the 4th century in the Common Era. So that's way before. A lot of these questions these guys pose are very easily answered, especially by people that are studious, that really care and really study this. You know what I'm saying? I spent a lot of time just reading this information. A lot of people don't. How do you think I'm quoting this? How do you think I'm putting all this stuff together? Because I actually read. I'm committed to doing it. The naysayers, you're not committed. You don't care. It's not even about if the information is right. It's just that you don't like the information. You don't like what we're saying. But you cannot change the truth. The truth will always stand no matter how you hit it. And the source is The Soul of Judaism by Jews of African descent. The Soul of Judaism, Jews of African descent in America, Bruce D. Haynes. Again, so Al-Idrisi spoke of Jews living south of the Kingdom of Ghana, or I believe it would have been Gaio at that time, or he could have been talking about Ouagadougou. Either or, it would be sub-Saharan Africa, it would be below the Sahel. Black faces of the Jews. I knew you to be a Jew, for you Jews have a peculiar color of face, different from the form and figure of other men, which thing have often fixed me with admiration. For you are black and uncomely and not white as other men. How more clear, and how more vivid could you want this to be? Verbatim, you are black. You are black. You are black. He's saying from the top, I knew you to be a Jew. Why? For you are black. That's what it says. And that's a quote from Paul Isaiah in 1655. So you can get mad. You can be, that little angry toddler that didn't get his way and got on the ground and start kicking and bucking and all that other stuff. It's not going to change or alter reality. This is empirical reality. Now, the source is Shakespeare and the Jews by James Shapiro, page number 170. The Black Sephardi. Now, let's read this about the Black Sephardi, Black Sephardim. The English Breton visited one of the Sephardic synagogues in Amsterdam in 1635 and wrote that the Jewish men were most black and insatiably given into women. What did he say about the Jewish men? They were most black. Most black, most black. You can't get around that. It's right there. It's on the page. It's on the source. It says in 1630, it says the English Breton visited one of the Sephardic synagogues in Amsterdam in 1635 and wrote that the Jewish men were most black. Now tell me how you reinterpret that. This is why you guys don't want to debate me. This is why all the dagger fries, you're afraid of me, because you know I'm going to stick you with empirical reality while you're playing and dancing and shucklebucking and doing the Cupid shuffle. Now, do you dance? Do you dance? Now, do you to the left, to the left, to the left? Now, kick. That's y'all. It's right there, man. Empirical reality kills that all day. Again, the reason why y'all don't want to debate this, y'all don't want to have a collegiate debate, a formal debate with me, because you know what's going to happen, right? It ain't going to be a debate. It's going to be a stick-up. Because again, demonstration beats pontification all the time. I'm going to be demonstrating my point. You're going to be pontificating. Jews and Blacks in the Early Modern World, John Discourse, page number 180 and 181. I'm using this source on purpose, by the way. Dark complexion example. In 1643, Isaac de la Pereire contended that once the Jews convert to Christianity, they will no longer have this dark complexion. They will no longer have this dark complexion. They will no longer have this dark complexion. If Isaac is saying that, if they repent, because they had this weird belief that, oh, well, dark skin equals these damn Catholics had this weird belief that dark skin equals sin. You understand? And it was just weird that has no basis, right? So it's like, well, these Jews, if they repent, they would no longer have this dark complexion. This was in 1643. Now, how you all tend to change that? And then it goes on to say they will change faces and the whiteness of their complexion will have the same brightness. So it's saying, well, when they change, they'll no longer be dark and they become white, which is diametrically opposed to having dark skin, by the way. The Jews and the blacks in the early modern world, Jonathan Scorch again. Page number 181. Again, he's bringing all these quotes up for a reason. The Negro Jews of the Mohammedan region. The author was unable to distinguish a Jew from a Mohammedan while passing along the streets of Algiers, Constantine, and Tunis. It is remarkable that among the non-Jewish natives, there are seen many Jews of Negroid type. There are seen many Jews of Negroid type. Let me read it again. There are seen many Jews of Negroid type. That's it. I should stop the presentation. There's nothing else to talk about with you losers, right? There's nothing else to talk about. It's clear. It's vivid. It's out there. I've brought this up plenty of times. You can't change what's being stated here. And this is from a physical description by Maurice Fishburne because he was traveling, right? Showing a decided Negro infusion. Let's get it. The synagogue in London, inundated by black Jews. We read this earlier about the chief ruler, probably the president of Parnassium, as a very rich merchant or big, black, fierce, and stern man. Jews and the blacks in early modern world. Jonathan Scorch. Come on, man. Another synagogue, Greenheld, reiterated that with ethnographic precision that the 100 or so Jews he saw at the synagogue are all generally black. What did he say about the 100 or so Jews he saw at that synagogue? Are all generally black, so as they may be distinguished from Spaniards or native Greeks. For the Jews' hair have a deeper tincture of the more perfect red black. So reinterpret that for me. The Jews and the blacks in the early modern world by Jonathan Scorch. Remember, I read the quote earlier. Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued that the Jews were not automatically white, but they are counted among black people. That was I read that. I think it was on third or fourth slide. Let's go. Eyewitness account. In 1690, Reverend Robert Kirk of Aberfoyle visited the St. Croix Church Alley Synagogue. I read this again, right? Recapitulation is good. Ending his depiction of the worship with almost identical ethnographic punctuation. They were all very black men. They're saying the same thing. Come on, man. It's getting redundant, but, redundancy is good sometimes. I'm a tech, so I understand the importance of redundancy. If you're working on a boiler and you're dealing with moving water with propellers, you would rather have a second pump that does the same zone, because if that other pump fails and then the pump, the extra pump, the redundant pump will be turned on and activated and pretty much be a rescue mechanism for the failed pump. So redundancy is good. Understand that. That way the customer is still warm, his radiators are still heating, and they're happy. You're happy, we're all happy. It's called efficiency. See, I think it is. I come up with my arguments like a technician would, because I am a technician. So again, it says they were all very black men. Let's keep going. More examples of Jews with a dark complexion. Let's keep recapitulating. Similar portrayals continued into the 18th century and later. William Black, Secretary of Commissioners appointed by Governor William Gooch of Virginia to deal with the Indians, Hester Levy, a daughter of the wealthiest and best-known New York Jew, Moses Levy, whom he met in June 1744, as very well made her complexion black. Very well made her complexion black. Very well made. This is the description of his daughter. Very well made her complexion black, but very comely. She had 2 charming eyes and well turned, with a beautiful head of hair, coal black. The Jews and Blacks in my early modern world by Jonathan Scorch. Remember what I read earlier. Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued that the Jews were not automatically white, but could be counted among black people. That's what the source says. Don't get mad, get glad. The Black Abravanels. The 15th century Portuguese poet Álvaro de Brito Pestana explicated the term Morocco in the following lines, pugning on the general negative meaning of Negro. Those who fake our faith are the Maroons, which are Sephardic Jews, right? The Maroons, very faithless, baptized, who to the old law are bound by the Black Abravanels, indoctrinated. Call them the Black Abravanels. The Jews and the Black in the early modern world by Jonathan Scorch again. He's on fire. Y'all remember that from Dreamcast? Jonathan Scorch on fire, man. The look of a Jew is akin to a Guinean Jew. We read that earlier. If you want to fix if you want to look like a Jew, rub yourself a walnut husk until you become olive beauty with a lively complexion like that of a new Negro from the coast of Guinea. Same source, same page. And this impression was not uncommon. Here we go again. Already in 1691, Francois Maximilian, mission one of the influences of Buffon's natural history, wrote against such views of Jewish blackness while bolstering in the process the impression that the idea was not uncommon. 'Tis also a vulgar error that the Jews are all black, for this is only true of the Portuguese. Another source, verifying what Pritchard said earlier. The Jews are very dark. Should I end it's about 5:17? I should end it right now, right? Let me keep going. Same book, same page. My source is on the left. You can see it, right? Jews and the Blacks. Jonathan Scorch, page number 180, 181. Jews are black as Ethiopians. The source is on the classification of geographical distribution of mammalia, page number 96 to 97 by Richard Owen. There are some Jews still lingering in the valleys of the Jordan, having been oppressed by the successful conquerors of Syria for ages. A low race of people and described by trustworthy travelers as being as black as any of the Ethiopian races. As black as any of the Ethiopian races. Let me say it one more time for the slow of heart. As black as any of the Ethiopian races. There are some Jews still lingering in the valleys of the Jordan. As black as any of the Ethiopian races. I know that hurts you. I know that makes you upset, but that's just the empirical reality. How the Jews obtain dark skin. Some of these white English folk were trying to explain this, and this is one of the explanations. Silly, but listen to it. This lets you know what they look like. It's English traveler to the east, Henry Blount, noted that the distinctive Jewish appearance derived from wallowing in the dirt and sun makes them more swarthy than others. So these people obviously had a dark complexion for this man to say that these people went out wallowing in the dirt. Reinterpret that for me, man. Same book, page number 186. Darkness of the Sephardic Jews, the Jews and the Blacks in the early modern world. Jonathan Scorch, page number 183. Again, I'm purposely using this source over and over again to prove a damn point. Indeed, the Jew could seem either European or non-European at will. His swarthiness played no small role in this, perhaps leading Ariosto to change the more specific Egypt of the plays first version to the more generic Africa of the final draft. Well, it's saying because in his play he had a Jew, and this Jew could be European or non-European. Why? Because of his swarthiness. Said it played no small role. It was a major role, and to the point where he changed it from him just coming from Egypt, saying he's from Africa. Look at him. Because that's how these people view. They even today, you guys think like that. Well, phenotype means determines geographical provenance, and it doesn't. But that's how they thought. So he was like, okay, he's swarthy, he's dark, he must be from Africa. Let's put that into play when he was writing this play, right? It says, while such views may be passed off as mere descriptive statements about the darkness of Sephardic Jews, they soon connected intimately with prescriptive motions based on the significance of physiological or racial characteristics. Let me read that again. Physiological or racial characteristics about what? The darkness of the Sephardic Jews. The darkness of the Sephardic Jews. And how do we connect this? He made Africa his homeland. He was swarthy, he had dark skin, and that had implications of his physiological or racial characteristics. Body bag. Let's keep going. Page number 183. Jews equals light-skinned blacks. Let's look into this. This is also Genesis Course works. You know what I'm saying? I must have read this. Thus, in the 1750 petition from Kingston, Jamaica, Christians objecting to recent attempt by a Jewish landowner to vote presented the following argument. Though the mulatto of the fourth descent may vote at elections, yet the Jews, many of whom are mulattoes of that degree, are, by our wise legislature, absolutely excluded from that privilege. Many of the Jews were mulattoes of the fourth degree. That is very light-skinned blacks. This is the words of Jonathan Scorch. This is the words of Jonathan Scorch, people. Page number 183. He's on fire. Let's go. Phenotypic plasticity of the medieval Jews. Also, Jonathan Scorch says Jews were and were not blacks. Let me read that again. Jews were, meaning some of the Jews were black, and were not black, meaning some of them were white. Jews were and were not white. Some of them were white, and some of them weren't considered white. That's phenotypic plasticity. That's phenotypic range. And that's just showing you a variation of Jews. He's not oblivious to that. And he's bringing it out in his book. These various vies of Jews branded them in David Rodeiger's terminology as not yet white. Page number 183, same source, Jews and the Blacks in the Early Modern World by Jonathan Scorch. Evident by Jonathan Scorch, the black Caffres descended from Jews who were themselves black. The black Caffres descended from the Jews who were themselves black. The black Caffres descended from the Jews who were themselves black. Let that reverberate. It's on the screen. It's in the book. I own the book. I read it. This is what's coming from it. You can't change that. This is empirical reality. And this is why I read earlier, Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued that the Jews were not automatically white, but could be counted among black people. Y'all gonna remember that quote. Jews were seen as darker than their neighbors. The Jewish gaze outward ramified significantly on internal perceptions as well. The effort to clarify the blackness of the Jews helped shape some seminal moments in the development of Jewish autoethnography. Medieval Jewish exegetes agreed with their Christian and Muslim compatriots that Jews were darker than their neighbors. Jews were darker than their neighbors. Jews were darker than their neighbors. You hear that, dagger frauds? Jews were darker than their neighbors. You got to repeat it for the slow at heart. The source, the Jews and blacks in the early modern world, Jonathan Scorch, page number 186. The three sons of Noah, also in the same book, page 191, passage from Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. And now, if you get this passage from Sephardi.org, they're going to give you the Europeanized version. But there's versions that haven't been tampered with. And Jonathan Scorch obviously was privy to it. Now, let's read it. Leaving the original color scheme for the three sons of Noah, it states Shem, equals black and pleasing. Shem equals black and pleasing. Shem equals black and pleasing. Ham, black as a raven, and Japhet, entirely white. That's how it's supposed to be translated. Shem equals black and pleasing. That's Jonathan Scorch's work, page number 191. Like I said, he's on fire. And we know the Jews come from Shem. All right. Sephardic dark song. It says, consider also the old and widespread song adopted by the Sephardic Jews. Morena me Yaman. Yaman, right? They call me dark, is what that transliterates to. They call me dark. They were going around singing that. Same book, page 188. Now, we're going to transition. So they was going around singing they call me dark. For some reason, you numbskulls don't get it. But anyway, the Black Portuguese Jews victims of the slave trade, just some recapitulation on my previous presentation that I did on this, the Hebrews victims of the slave trade, which got them all in a frenzy right now. They're upset about that. They're very upset. Dagger frauds and the enemies are very upset. It's one man versus 10, but I can take all 10. Because y'all lightweight, man, because y'all don't read. I do. I'm just going to stick with the empirical reality. I'll let you play those make-believe games. Okay, it says the Black Portuguese Jews victims of the slave trade, the points that destroy naysayers' arguments. Let's get it real quick. And this is how I knew I was going to beat Rob Bourne. It's going to be easy. It's going to be a wash. Because I'm just going to line this up and articulate my argument very well. The descendants of Jews proliferated Africa, source encompassing the globe. Essays by J.A. Levinson, page number 77, says the Portuguese and their Luso-African offspring included a substantial number of new Christians, descendants of forcibly converted Portuguese Jews. These are Luso-Africans, their offspring. They're descendants of Jews. That means they fit IBD, identification by descent. Victims of the slave trade, Luso-African Jews. Initially, I read this earlier, but again, redundancy is good. So initially, the Luso-African descendants of Lancados and local Africans, then are augmented after. Augmented means to grow. The mid-17th century by Anglo and Franco-Africans. Some owned African slaves, yet some were slaves of Africans. That means Luso-Africans, which are descendants of Jews, these Sephardic Jews, were victims of the slave trade. It's that simple because some of them owned slaves and some of them were slaves. It's that simple. Naomi, the History of Western Mandinka State through the 18th Century by Donald R. Wright, page number 148. The Jew, Portuguese, and Negro can be seen in one person. That's a quote. I got that from J. Rogers. He was quoting someone I didn't put in there. Sorry. But that's easy. You can easily look that up. In settlements throughout the Spanish Caribbean, individuals described as Portuguese blacks or Afro-Portuguese Creoles worked alongside diasporic Africans as fellow slaves and free people of color. So we can see that these Luso-Africans or Afro-Portuguese, because Luso means you speak Portuguese, right? It's the same thing. Or slaves in the Caribbean. It's right there. The Atlantic Africa and the Spanish Caribbean, 1570 to 1640 by David Wheat, page number 161, 162. Your African Jews were legally recognized due to IBD. We read this earlier about a sizable Jewish Euro-African subgroup arose, which illustrates that African spiritual traditions, Christianity, and Islam were not the only possibilities available to Africans and their free or enslaved descendants. Because they used to say, show me a slave that got off the slave ship with that understanding or that religion or that culture. There's plenty. They're Luso-Africans. Let's go. Dark descendants of Jews. In the case of the Portuguese Empire, one could not ignore the importance of the deportation of Sephardic population to Cape Verde or to Guinea in the first years of the 16th century. These Portuguese speakers became Luso-Africans and formed families of darker and darker skin. And formed families of darker and darker skin. Let me read it again. Formed families of darker and darker skin. That's what it says. Without ever losing their Jewish sheen. Source: A Companion to Global Historical Thought by Wiley Blackwell, page number 217, 218. The African Biogos were capturing the Luso-Africans, selling them to the slave traders. Here it is. It says, in addition, at the beginning of the 17th century, all of the coastal peoples, including the Portuguese, were subject to repeated raids by Bihogo warriors from the adjacent Bisagos archipelago. So they were victims of the slave trade because the Bihogo Africans were capturing them and selling them as slaves, and they were being re-exported into America. You can't get around that. Right here, Portuguese Style and Luso-African Identity by Peter Mark, page number 25, 26. We're going to show you. Here we go. Direct descendants of dark Sephardic Jews enslaved. Initially, the Luso-African descendants, we read this earlier, or of Lancanos and local Africans, then augmented. We read this already, yet some were slaves of Africans. So you can see there were slaves. The slave raids of native Africans contributed greatly to the slave trade. Here it goes. Bihogo raiders would tie them up and carry them back to their own lands, where captives would then be sold to waiting Portuguese ships. Iberian merchants thus acquired innumerable blacks in the post of the Bihogos. So they was being captured, sold to Portuguese ships, and then these ships will redistribute them into the Caribbean, into Brazil. And we know that's true because we already read that many of those Spanish settlements, we see these Portuguese blacks. We see them during that time because they were victims of the slave trade. The source: Atlantic, Africa, and the Spanish Caribbean, 1570, 1640 by David Wheat, page number 64. And that's why Black Haiti, Blair Nowls, when she wrote Black Haiti, in her statement in this book on page number 113, has credence because we just read it had credence. That this matches the historical account of Euro-African Jews. It says the slaves imported from Africa had come from the Gold Coast, the Ivory Coast, and the coast of Angola, and the Slave Coast, all the way from the Gulf of Guinea. Remember, we read about Guinea. A lot of Jews were there. A lot of Luso-African Jews were there, to the Cape of Good Hope. They represented most of the tribes of that dark and mysterious continent. Some were said to be descendants of Jews mixed with Negroes. Some were said to be descendants of Jews mixed with Negroes. Let me read it one more time. Some were said to be descendants of Jews mixed with Negroes. That matches what we've been reading about the Luso-Africans. And what is she talking about? She's referencing Haiti. The book's called Black Haiti. Luso-Africans were slaves as well. Iberian and Luso-African passengers on these voyages were also accompanied by domestic slaves, personal servants, and family members, all of whom were very likely to be either Luso-African or Sub-Saharan Africans too. Either Luso-African or Sub-Saharan African too. That means you had slaves that were Luso-Africans. All right? And where are they going? To the Americas. It's going to say it. In seaports throughout the early Spanish Caribbean, these migrants constituted part of the region's social fabric and an extension of cross-ethnic contacts that had taken place earlier in Western Africa. And the source is the Atlantic, Africa, and Spanish Caribbean, 1570 1640 by David Wheat again. 279 to 280. First quotes from page 64. Material culture carried to the Americas by the Luso-Africans. We know they were here because we see the culture. We see the footprint, if you will. It says descriptions of the Luso-African dwellings in the 17th century, illustrations of Afro-Brazilian architecture offer graphic evidence of the movement of the people. Graphic evidence of the movement of the people. European and Euro-African traders, as well as African slaves, as well as African slaves, as well as African slaves, as well as African. They were victims of the slave trade. No way around it. Between the Guinea coast and Brazil. And then the source is Portuguese Style and Luso-African Identity by Peter Mark, page number XX2, 22, 23, Roman numerals, right? Black Brazilian Jews, descendants of Black Jews, and we see these semblance are descendants of the progeny or posterity of these Jews as well today. It says, I've been in touch with a community in Brazil in Sao Paulo, 200,000 Brazilians who the father is Jewish and the mother is African, of African descent, Black Brazilian. So that's in modern times. We have that 200,000 people that can trace it on a pedigree level, genealogical level, right? Through genealogy. And the source is The Soul of Judaism, Jews of African Descent in America by Bruce D. Haynes, page number 107 and 108. All right, now let's go to the Maroons. I wanted to touch on this real quick, the last two slides before I end it. I wanted to touch on what Zion Lex said about Obey or Opie or Obeah. And when he said that, I had read this in his book. I was like, man, that matches up with what I read in this book. So I just want to share this with you. Also in the Jews and the Blacks in the Early Modern World by Jonathan Scorch, page number 229. It says they also cast the Ogi Woho, the influence of the Evi, through Obeah, a practice the author claims bears a pure Jewish stamp. And I remember hearing Zion Lex on one of his lectures, or if he was on Sinetta, bringing up Obeah being a West African practice. And it's also going back to the biblical notion, because Obeah means familiar spirit. And Saul seek the woman of Obeah, or Obi, which means familiar spirit. So I was like, okay, I wanted to bring this out as well, because that corroborates his point, because obviously this person saw that as a sign of Jewishness or a Jewish stamp. And if you go to Strong's H178, Obi from the same as H1, apparently through the idea of pronouncing a father's name properly and mumble, a water skin, hence a necromancer, bottle, or familiar spirit. So you can see how it was transliterated. Oh, and that's the same source, Jews in Black, page number 229 by Jonathan Scorch. And what makes it more interesting that he was talking about Maroons, right? So a rebel Maroon ex-slave considered to be one with the Jews. This is a quote from a Maroon. He says, "You Jews," said he, "in our nation," meaning the Coromantans, "ought to consider ourselves as the same." In the History of Jamaica, Edward Long, page number 459. So, and this book was 1774, I believe. So I'm going to end it with that. Any questions? Any questions? We read verbatim what these things said, like I always do. I bring sources. You guys bring interpolation. You guys bring pontification. You guys bring conversation, but no demonstration. And you know how we do on the source. That's a violation of scholarship. And the words of Reggie, you know what I'm saying? What these guys are doing is not scholarship at all. But what we're doing, we setting that foundation and concretizing our points, solidifying our points. You understand? We can show and prove. They cannot. All right. Let's get it. Let's get it. Shout out to the family. I see you got a lot of people in here, man. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Right. I smell a bunch of dead bodies too. There's some rotten corpse in here, man. Ain't no way around this information, man. You guys are playing. You Dagger Fries is playing, man. Man, look at this, man. Hey, shout out to the love, man. They better say it. Eduardo Gonzalez said this is all new but very, very interesting. But that's my point. I try to go dig for these sources so I can bring them out and bring them to the forefront for you brothers and you sisters can write them down and have some study material. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can actually solidify your points. TJR said, my mom's side is Cape Verdean. I did some research in our last name and it went back to the Portuguese Jews, Black Cape Verdeans in Portugal. Yeah. I mean, that's highly plausible. That's highly plausible, man. Last name is Andrade. Okay, all right. I see. Your fruit's starting to look good, brother. I mean, look, man, I'm gonna continue to do what I do, and that's research. My research competency is high. These other guys, all they do is they're skeptics. That's it. They're not really doing any real research. You playground bully slap boxing them now. Yeah, I mean, this is just silly, man. The argument against this is just silly at this point. Hey, shalom, brother. Shalom. Y'all, what's up, man? Peace to your family and your household, brother. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. We say no to vague interpretations and we give thorough breakdowns. You know how we do it over here. We're not playing with this information. There's more to come, too, man. More to come. I got a debate finding Abraham this Saturday. You're going to see that. You're going to like that. You're going to like what I do in that one. You're going to like that one. Shout out to Mikael, man. Yeah, man. Super black. Some of these Jews were super black. Dark. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way around it, man. Everybody, take these sources, put them in your arsenal. Hey, shalom, brother. Hey, appreciate that, man. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. The brother said, damn, this is my first time attending your live. Thorough breakdown. Shalom. Yeah, man. We say no to vague interpretations and give thorough breakdown. This is the degrees of separation. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're going to build our models with empirical data, with actual things we can observe and show and prove, man. Again, demonstration always going to beat conversation. Always, man. Appreciate it, Mikael. I try, man. This next month, I'm going to go all out. I promise you. You know what I'm saying? There's one person versus 10 people, y'all. I got all the dagger fraud and all the Team Osiris to defeat. And I will become victorious. Because I got the truth on my side, the empirical reality behind my side. All they have is skepticism. You know what I'm saying? When they say African, it leaves confusion. Right. We can use that to our advantage because the first source I showed, let me share my screen again real quick. Let me go back to that source if I can. Let me show y'all this source again. Let me leave that. So this source right here from the Literature and Science by Monica Smits-Eben says ethnological and popular literature repeatedly referred to Jews as Negroes of Europe, as Swati, African, even call them African, right there, mulatto, Jewish Negroid, and as members of the mongrel dark-skinned race. So there's no way around that. That's a recapitulate again. As Jonathan Scorch, because they said, I don't know Jonathan Scorch's work, but Jonathan Scorch has convincingly argued early modern Jews were not automatically white, but they were easily counted among black people. That's clear. That's clear, man. That's clear as day. That's vivid. Very vivid. Hey, Tazawan, you're not missing anything. you ain't missing. You're not going to hear anything from them, but a bunch of vain babbling. Right. Amos 9:7. Yeah. Are you not as the Ethiopians unto me? They'll try to play with that scripture and say, that's esoteric. But I mean, we can just go to many scriptures and many sources proving that there were black Jews. It's that simple. There's no way around it. And they were victims of the slave trade too. I proved that without a shadow of a doubt. There's no way around it. We see the material culture of the Luso Africans in Brazil. That shows a movement of people because they carried that material to the New World. All right, y'all. I'm gonna close it out. What y'all want to close it out with? Let's do throwing up the foe. That's rep right, man. That's rep right. Let me show some love to my brother Jeremiah. We open up with LV. Let's close out with Jeremiah's song, man. Let's get it, man. You know what I'm saying? We say no to vague interpretations to give thorough breakdowns. You know how we get it. You know how we come. You know how we living, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I do this, man. They don't. Y'all don't, man. It's a game to y'all. A lot of y'all are dilettantes. Keep it a stack. A lot of y'all is dilettantes, man. No commitment and no knowledge. That's what it means to be a dilettante. No commitment and no knowledge of the information. You're just here to be an opposing force, and you know what we do with opposing forces. We unroot them things, man. We destroy them, man. That's how we get down. We don't care about your vain opinions. We're going to go straight to the source material and prove our points. All right. I'm waiting on this to load up, y'all. That's what I'm waiting on. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Y'all hit that like button. Share this video. Get this video out there, man. Let them people know that we got a machine behind us, too. We got viewers, too. We got a voice, too. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to keep growing, and we're going to keep providing evidence to our claims. And y'all going to keep getting upset about it. That ain't going to change. Because y'all dilettantes, man. Team Osiris and Dagger Squad, all y'all are dilettantes. And you can't change the truth. You bucking against the pricks. And if you know about the pricks, that's that long knife on the end of the staff. That's that long knife at the end of the staff that the cattle would buck against. And the more that it bucked, that knife drive deeper and deeper into his flesh. And it got more and more painful. The more you kick, the more painful it's going to get for you. Because I'm just scratching the surface. Yeah, man. Yeah. They know what's up, man. We're gonna form Voltron on them. And it's really gonna be lights out. If I'm giving them all this trouble by myself, and we form Voltron, you guys, it's over for you guys. It's lights out. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson punch out for you guys. All right, man. I'm gonna shut it down. Subscribe to the Source Debate League. Hit that like button. Share the video. And I love all you brothers, all you sisters that show us support on a day-to-day basis. But we're going to close it out. Throw them fours up. Y'all know how we live. You know how we get it down.
Nothing can stop you all the way up. We all the way up. If we're all the way up. You know all the way up. E37, we all the way up. Tell me what you need.
I will also sustain the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. Hey, going up the phone. Hey, going up the phone. Tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone. Throw your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone. Man, this Hebrew swag, man, is out of here. Flying in the air through the clouds like a chariot. Go to the store to buy this, they don't carry it. The heathens come down to the hood, we don't let them in. Spend all of my time with my people, though. Here's another extra fly song, hit the dance floor. Know what Judah and we started in all the trends. It's an Israelite at the door, but just let them in. Look at this brew, extra fly, man, he dressed to kill. No, we not Candy Rain, but we're so for real. Hell be the first place they throw the phone. Put your hands off in the air just to let them know. Hey, throwing up the phone. Throwing up the phone. Throw your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone. Throw your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone.
Yeah, it's the year was the hold up. When you hear the Yahoo and see the foes up, make all my people two-step in this. Shoot a block folk tribe, yeah, we rep with this. I got my SIG on me, but on the low I keep it cool. Old school gang, speak not to a fool. Never compromise, cause I play by the rules. Fear of your hours, so it's like I don't abuse. Yeah, so folk tribe get a playback. Northern Gate, West Bank, first to say that. Fake Jew cocksucker, we don't play that. The first city with the foes on the map. Hands on Hebrews with the strap in the back. And when it comes to the the spirit. We stay on attack like King David and his sons. Folk drive where we from. Ain't a thing built a kingdom from a crumb. Righteous, you can keep your priests and your nuns. I'ma kill the deck, you the king and priest. Crown the lion of Yahweh, I through him I speak.
Hey, throwing up the phone. Hey, throwing up the phone. Put your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone.
Get the flow up, throw your force up, frozen. We about to blow, party till we fold over. Dedication to our king and the nation. We at the feast in good old place. I'm Ashiaki, I was shot, no patience. Brothers falling off, no patience. Sick against the laws, he's safe. Talk about the royal laws, you break. Cause looking good like a vacation. We the real Jews, no fake. Jeremiah on his way, location. We do it big in the heart of the nation.
Throwing up the phone. Throwing up the phone. Throw your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone. Throw your tribe in the air just to let them know. Me and my Hebrew tribe throwing up the phone.
Chill. We out, man. We out. Shalom to all you brothers. Hey, Mika Israel, all you gotta do is rewind it back, man. It's gonna forever be on YouTube. Shalom, peace, subscribe to the channel, Source Debate League on YouTube. Join the Source Debate League on Facebook. Let's get it.